going to give you a very detailed understanding in this video of what it's like to be raised by a narcissistic parent and the wounds and the consequences that it has in your life, and then finally how you can heal from it and how I'm healing from it at the time of this video. First of all, we have to understand what narcissism is, and I'm sure many of you do because, I mean, you're watching an Approaching Authenticity channel. I'm sure the narcissistic codependent dynamic, all of that has been kind of like the low-hanging fruit. If you don't know about it, basically someone who's a narcissist is someone, this is my perspective, someone who's so insecure to the point that they can't really see reality as it is. They have to see reality as a way that it conforms to a self-image where they're just basically perfect, they're always right, they know things better than anyone else, and they just have this huge ego which is protecting them from this actual very vulnerable and, let's say, sad person who's unable to take reality as it is and has to constantly contort it in order to feed this twisted, sick self-image. If you're a kid and you were raised by narcissistic parents, you can have tremendous consequences in your life because when you're a kid, you're very emotionally dependent on your parents. Your parents are like the gatekeepers of the world, and through them, you get to interact with everything else. So your survivorship is highly dependent on them. If you're unable to have emotional support from them, if you don't feel safe around them, if you don't feel like you can establish this deep connection with your parent, then you'll always be unsure of yourself. You'll feel scared, and this will have tremendous consequences in your adult life. I'm going to explain to you exactly the mechanism that still perpetuates in your day-to-day life. So let's say that this is you. You're this kid. I don't know why you have such a big head, but whatever. This is you, and this is your, let's say, your parent, right? They're taller than you and whatnot. And so when you're a kid, you're going to try and attach to your parent through love, right? So you'll send out, let's say, love. But if your parent is a narcissist, they'll have this kind of like protective layer around them, right? Where they cannot be vulnerable, they cannot be emotionally connected to people. They have to connect through this like twisted, sick self-image. And if you don't validate that, you're not a good use for them. So you'll send out love, 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 and you'll not get anything back. Like you'll get distance, you'll get lack of affection. And because of this, you'll feel insecure. You'll feel like you'd give anything at all to create a connection with this person, but they're just not about it. They're just not interested in getting a connection with you because they're unable to be vulnerable. This mechanism of you pinging for love from your narcissistic parent will perpetuate in your adult life. When I was a little kid, me and my parent, we were playing this game together, this Pokemon game. I loved playing this game with this person because it was just this rare activity we would do together. And for me, it was so exciting. It felt like I was finally connecting, right? And we were stuck at this cave level. And for the longest time, we were stuck and we couldn't play more. And I remember one day, I came from kindergarten home and they told me, hey, I beat the cave. I got out of the cave. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. We can, play more together. And they're like, yeah. And then I beat the rest of the game. And they were like proud of themselves for beating the game. But I realized at that moment that it was never about me playing with them. Looking back was the first moment where I realized that shit, my love does not get correspondence here. And this has been a constant pattern in my life where after I grew up, I would look to people, I would always enter this dynamic where I am still looking for the correspondence from this parent, right? I'm still constantly pinging love to people and trying to get that love back. That really puts my entire life into perspective, and maybe it can also be putting yours right now. I had to research really deeply. Okay, I had this unrequited love ever since I was a child. Even today, I mourn, I'm in grief for not having that love back. It's like a part of me just accepted that I'll never have that, and it's really sad about it. Okay, how can I get over this mourning? How can I get over this grief of not having that love correspondent to me? I understood now, this is a very recent realization. In order to get out of this grieving period, you have to actually allow yourself to get angry. Because when you deal with a narcissistic parent, when you deal with someone who's not emotionally safe for you and you're a kid, you don't allow yourself to get angry because you're afraid that if you get angry at this person, then you will die. They're your interface to the world. Now I'm an adult and I don't need to depend on anyone. But at the time I was a kid and I had a lot of insecurity regarding my survivorship. And now that kid is still within me. The way you go about healing this is you actually have to meditate and you have to get in contact with that kid who's still mourning for that love, who's still suffering grasping at that love and tell them, hey, you deserved better. This person, they didn't care. You were willing to do anything to get that love from them. You were willing to do anything for that relationship, and they didn't care. And that should make you angry. You should be angry because you gave everything, you would give everything, and this person didn't care. That's the way you get out of it. You should be angry about it, angry that you're willing to do so much and they couldn't see it. How frustrating is that? From a more spiritual perspective, although it sounds weird to, the advice is to allow your inner child to get angry at the parent who didn't love you back. And key point here, the inner child, the part of you who's wounded about it. Although it sounds kind of weird, the interesting thing is that once you get angry, you're actually able to get out of your own head. You're actually able to see reality from a more outside perspective and understand the larger context. It also correlates to the whole pyramid of transformational consciousness, what I'm talking about. And once you get angry, you're actually able to stop mourning. You're actually able to move on with your life, because it is possible that you never really moved on for that grieving period. It doesn't mean that you have to cut relationships with this parent. It just means that you have to allow yourself to feel these emotions which you are scared to feel. You do this through meditation. So you meditate, you get in contact with that inner child, and you try to understand, okay, how are they feeling? What are the emotional set points with regards to this situation? And once you feel like this inner child is in a position of understanding that not everyone is capable of loving the way you are, then you'll be ready to move on. This has been a very deep advice. It's very nuanced, very woo, approaching authenticity, guys. Come on, you know what you're doing here. And I hope it served you. It's like one of the most important concepts in my life. And if you like this kind of content, subscribe, because I'll be making more in the future. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.